What's this? This music isn't the Saturday night theme. And what's this guy doing on the radio again? Well, Dave threw us all a cool curveball and is letting me, Everett Themer, sit in the captain's chair tonight. Actually, it's not the captain's chair, it's a folding chair, covered with a tarp. But I'm sitting in it anyway, and I've brought some special guests. Before that, though, we are happy to welcome you, along with Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio, to tonight's broadcast. If you happen to miss any part of tonight's show, you can listen to our archives for free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including keeping up to date on the weird news of the day at Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, picking up a very stylish t-shirt in the SOR Vault, or joining the Space Travelers Club, where for $5 a month, you can join our live chat, tell us what you really think in our forums, and check out some really cool exclusive content. And of course, tonight's show is brought to you by the fine people at Chive Charities. Please head on over to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, chivecharities.org, as we work to make the world 10% better. November 14th, 2004, the USS Nimitz and its carrier strike group encountered a fleet of unexplained aircraft in the air 100 miles out in the Pacific Ocean. With the release of video almost 15 years later, it became known as the Nimitz Encounter. But it wasn't one single event. Both before and after, there were unusual occurrences. And to walk us through some of this, we have brought in a couple of people who were there as it unfolded. P.J. Hughes has over 10 years of naval service and was serving as an aviation technician aboard the USS Nimitz during this time. Also joining us is Omar Lara, also a 10-year veteran serving on ships such as the USS Eisenhower, and was also on the Nimitz as a Navy aviation fuel systems technician at the time. Both of them have some unique stories to share, and we're going to dig deep into the Nimitz Encounter, because it's one of those things that we just look at the videos and we kind of take it for what it's worth, and we move on and just keep arguing about some other things. Gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much for joining me tonight.
No problem.
No problem, Mr. Everett. My pleasure.
Hey, guys, at Spaced Out Radio, we love and honor our veterans, and I want to say thank you very much for your guys' service. And PJ, I'd like to start off with you and maybe tell us a little bit about how you got into the Navy, what drew you into it, and you know, where were you in your career path when this happened?
I joined the Navy right out of high school because there's no way in heck I was going to college. I ended up being an avionics technician mainly because I didn't know what else to do, and they said I could play with airplanes. That's kind of how I was doing what I was doing.
Okay. Can I get you to talk a little bit closer to your microphone a little bit? You're coming through a little bit muffled.
Yeah, that better?
Oh, that's much better.
All right.
Omar, go ahead, PJ.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, Omar, how about you?
Oh, I was 20 years old. Had no job prior to joining the Navy. I joined when I was 20. Went through boot camp. Turned 21 when I was in boot camp, and served 10 years after that. I was an aviation bosun's mate fuel, basically a purple grape, as they call it, for the Navy jargon that runs around on the flight deck of aircraft carriers and other ships that have naval aircraft landing and disembarking.
Okay. Now, most people, they look at the videos and they kind of just sort of lump this all as like it happened in the course of maybe a day or so. But, and PJ, maybe you can address this. This was sort of something that had been ongoing a little bit, maybe about a week before or so this kind of started?
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned that video, everybody thinks it all has to do with Commander Fravor. and he's actually a very small, tiny part of the whole story. And he's not even the one who recorded the video. That was Chad Underwood. But the Princeton was tracking these objects on and off for almost a week before Kevin Day finally got permission to do the intercepts.
Now, were they tracking, and maybe I'll accept if neither one of you knows this, were they tracking numerous objects throughout the course of the day? Were they tracking maybe like a fleet periodically? What kind of returns were they getting?
Multiple objects at a time, on and off throughout the day.
Did that strike anybody as unusual? Did it make anybody within the communications and radar departments nervous at all, or was it of any concern?
All I can relay is what Kevin Day said, and he'd been trying the whole week trying to get somebody to take it seriously.
And it was just kind of dismissed at the time?
I mean, for the most part, they weren't interacting with any of our aircraft, so we really had no reason to go after them.
That makes sense. I can relate to that. Omar, during this time, what was life like on the ship for maybe the people outside of radar and communications? Did they have any idea anything was going on? Was there any tenseness, anything unusual?
Nothing unusual on my part. I had no security clearance such as P.J., Voorhees, or Mr. Day. I had no access to any of that information. The other thing that was going on was just scuttlebutt, and what I mean by scuttlebutt was just hearsay of certain things going on out there, and during that time, they just kept playing Close Encounters of the Third Kind over and over, and the one with Will Smith where he's fighting aliens, Independence Day, over and over. And you would hear things, and that would pretty much be it. But as far as my day and anyone outside of combat systems or the E-2 Hawkeye, it probably was just a normal day. They had no clue about it. And I do believe there's probably other sailors out there that had no clue that any of this was going on.
When you say they were playing...
Up until, all the events.
Okay, when you say they were playing movies like Close Encounters and Independence Day over and over again, would this be in lounge areas, or where were they doing this?
Oh, yeah, each division. Like, PJ has his own division, I have my own division, and we have our own berthing areas where we all sleep, and we sleep in bunk beds, and each division center has like a lounge area specifically to our occupants and personnel that are assigned to their specific division, such as V4 division, and PJ would be E2 Hawkeye. I'm sorry, buddy, what was your call sign for the squadron?
Wallbangers.
The Wallbangers, that's right. They had their own part of the ship where they would sleep, and they had their own little TV system and lounge area, basically some couches and a television mounted up along the wall, the bulkhead of the ship. And they would just play movies, and that's where we got some entertainment. If you didn't have a laptop or whatever else you were going to do, you just sit there, pop a can of chewing tobacco in, or drink soda, and eat noodles, and watch television shows. And they just kept playing these movies over and over.
Now, were these like DVDs that anybody could put in, or was this almost some sort of like intra-ship network where the crew didn't have any control over what was being played on the TVs?
What's funny is there's actually a part of the ship's company that's in charge of putting movies and entertainment on the television for the sailors that are out to sea. So yes, it's a ship's internet, basically, a ship's television system. So it wasn't like they can actually just pop up on HBO or something. They just had their own movie networks, CDs, basically, I guess, to answer your question, yes.
So it was just sort of like its own little, tiny little broadcast company. It's a bad way to put it, but basically,
no, that's a good way to put it. Yes,
the entertainment or what was playing on the TVs was not controlled by the crew. You couldn't just walk in and pop in a DVD because you felt like watching Caddyshack or something like that. It was out of the crew's control.
That's correct. It was out of cruise control.
PJ,
could you imagine if we had access?
PJ?
Yes.
Did you notice at that time the idea, or that like Omar said, there were an awful lot of alien-themed movies being played? Or were you too busy to spend much time watching TV?
You've got to understand something about officers and life out at sea. It's like a giant frat house. If they have a reason to bust on each other, they're going to do it. And they're ultimately the ones who control what goes on those TVs. They had cartoons in the airplane making fun of them. You know, there was all kinds of stuff they were doing to razz each other about what they saw.
What do you mean about what they saw on the TVs, or are you talking about what somebody witnessed?
What Fravor and his crew watched or saw, what the Hawkeye crew saw, what Underwood and his flight saw. It all boiled down to they were busting those guys' balls about seeing some UFOs. So they were playing everything they could to hint at the fact that they were crazy.
So this was more of, like you said, sort of a frat house kind of prank thing? A little bit of hazing?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly why they were playing the movies.
Omar, does that seem to make sense? Could you see him doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
I could. Yeah, I could.
I'll tell you, it surprises me that somebody would, for lack of a better term, haze them over this. What was the... And I know you guys can't speak for 5,000 people on a ship, but what was the general feeling within the Navy ranks regarding UFOs or alien technology, that kind of thing?
You asking me or PJ?
PJ, I'll start with you.
Okay. Honestly, until this happened, I'd never really even talked about it.
Okay, so it wasn't like it wasn't really an issue or anything that was kind of discussed?
Correct.
Okay. Omar, what about you?
No, never discussed. Wasn't a big topic of conversation. Nothing like that.
Okay. So over the course of a week, or was it technically 6 days, somewhere around a week to, we'll say a week. Kevin Day is getting these returns. And Omar, and I kind of asked this before, but during this time, there's nothing unusual on the ship seeming to go on, other than the hazing, or potential hazing of Fravor, right?
Correct.
Okay. When do you kind of come into the story?
My account was possibly the second to last night of the operation. The reason why I remember that is that all the aircraft had disembarked. They had been jetted off the aircraft carrier, and they go back to their home base. So all the pilots have taken off. So this is after the 14th. I don't know the specific date, so long ago. And the crew members that stay on board that are attached, for example, the wall bangers, PJ, he doesn't jump on the aircraft and take off with them, just the pilot. And they land back on their home base, and they're home. PJ's got to stick around for a couple days, get all the stuff, gear, whatever it is they do in their shop, secured, and get ready to pull into with the ship and take all that stuff out. And while they're doing all this, all the other aircraft crew members, the squadron personnel, they're using our elevator system to go up and down from the top deck into the hangar bay. So it drops down. And at that time, that's when a sailor had fallen overboard. And when the sailor had fallen overboard, they called man overboard, and basically everyone has to report all accounted for. And once everyone reports all accounted for, that one person who doesn't is basically a good indication that he's the one or she that's in the water.
Okay, was somebody reported overboard?
Yeah, he had fallen overboard during once the elevator was down the hangar bay. I don't know if it was a squadron person. It had to be a squadron personnel because they usually kind of were pulling that stuff once it went into the hangar bay. Once the elevator goes down into the hangar bay, someone can actually walk into it. And he probably slipped, and he went to the dunk tank, and he started floating off. And they call man overboard, and everything kind of stops. What's going on? I happened to be up on deck that night because we were monitoring the system shut down for specific fuel stations. And I was charged of V4 maintenance at the time. And I was just, killing time, monitoring, seeing what was going on. And he was floating out, and his strobe lights flashing, his float coat. And we were fixed onto his position. Once we had reported all accounted for, we kind of took our attention to this sailor floating out, because I remember deck department having a hard time getting the boat off the sponson to go get this guy. And during this time while he was floating out, he went out, a few miles. And that's when, out of nowhere, this object just drops straight out from the sky at incredible speed. And usually when an object comes out of the sky, you think a shooting star, and it kind of slows down and breaks up in pieces. Well, this object did not. It just came at incredible speed, and it just planted itself above the ocean, like in between the horizon, where it's almost dark, and then as you start to look up, the stars start to come into view.
Now, what time of day was this?
And this was at night. I'm going to say West Coast, November. After after 8 o'clock at night, maybe 9-ish, between 9 and 12 o'clock, because usually the last night out to sea, it's going to be one of the longest for everybody, because everyone's just getting this stuff off the aircraft carrier down to the hangar bay.
So this was after Fravor had his occurrence.
Yeah, after their encounter. And I had no clue of what was going on. And once all these reports came out of this, I always thought that my sighting and everyone else who saw it, that was just it. So once I started hearing about P.J.'s account, I was like, holy smokes, this is a big deal. This is, there's a story behind this other story. And that's just when I put my story out of the other event, and, just kind of got out there with Mr. Dave Beatty.
So,
but I also had reached out. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Finish up. Go ahead.
I had reached out to Mr. Jeremy Corbell before TPSA's announcement, because he had been on a show with an individual named Mr. Knapp, George Knapp. And I had no clue of George Knapp. or Jeremy Corbell. The only reason I knew of George Knapp was because I had just got done reading Annie Jacobs' book, Area 51, and she had, I think, in the foreword in regards to Area 51, and she mentioned his name, and that's just sparked my interest again in what was this that I saw, what was it? And there was an interview that he was doing with Mr. Corbell, and Corbell mentioned the Nimitz incident with the UFO, and I think we were almost delayed a little bit for our deployment. I don't remember if that was true or not.
Well, before we get too far,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
You saw this light drop out of the sky and kind of hover. What?
Yeah, it was for about 8. Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, man. It was for about 8 to 15 seconds that it hovered there, and it was in the general location of the sailor. So it wasn't like we had to really turn and look to see what fell out of the sky, because it almost kind of dropped behind them. But it was still a far distance.
How far do you think it was?
That I can't gauge. I mean, it was bright, white, luminescent, brighter than anything in the nice, pristine, dark Pacific Ocean. At night, waters are calm, and it was the size of a quarter compared to the stars.
Is that what kind of gave you the impression that it was some form of UAP, UFO, some form of craft other than a star or a light from a ship somewhere else, or something like that?
It happened so fast. It wasn't like right at that moment, like, holy smokes, this is a UFO. Look. It's just the way it just dropped out of the sky. You can see it streaking through. It had no streaks, but you could just see it cutting through the air and planting itself and just sitting there. It wasn't so much where you're still kind of at awe. Whoa, what is this? What is that? And, me, myself, and a few other witnesses and the gentleman that was next to me, I was just staring at this thing. And then also the deck department, the ones who were in charge of rescuing the sailor who had fallen over, he had his spotlight shining on the sailor, but he too saw this, and he turned his spotlight to illuminate this object. So there's another witness there too, and he saw this thing, and he turned the spotlight on that thing, and while it just sat there.
When he turned the spotlight on it, did it simply seem to be just a light form, or was there some physicality to the craft maybe behind the light? And we got about a minute left before we have to go to break.
I could not see any physicality. It was too far, but it was big enough to see. You know what I mean? It was large.
So it was just so bright that you couldn't really make anything out. Is that sort of safe to assume? Because it's hard to picture maybe just like a floating light being considered.
Now, if it was just staying there, and I didn't see it come out of the sky, I probably would have not noticed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm going to get you to hold.
Go ahead.
I'm going to get you guys to hold on for 1 minute, and we're going to step out for a break. And when we come back, PJ, I want to bring you in on this because I have some questions for you about this. We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans. It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble, tone it down a bit with Bumblicious, and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you addicted to the woo? Good. Me too. This is Dave Scott, and you can woo it up with me every Monday through Friday, starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, for 3 hours of great entertainment in the subjects you love. UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, intuition. Yes, we hit it all 5 days a week. Look for us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, my friends, we own the night.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/spacedoutradio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Saturday. I'm your host, Everett Thiemer. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Don't forget, if you've missed any part of the show, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us the favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping in the SOR Vault, where you need to get something to support Team Stump. We need some Team Stump support around here. We're not feeling the love lately. You can also join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month and so much more. Now, tonight, we are incredibly lucky because we have P.J. Hughes and Omar Lara, who were both on the Nimitz during the Nimitz Encounter. And Omar is finishing up telling us his story about seeing some form of craft out in the sky. Omar, can you finish that up really quickly, and then I want to bring PJ in.
Sure. Where I left off, the object had just fallen out of the sky, and he was in the same vicinity behind the sailor. And it sat there for about 8 to 15 seconds. And then after that, that's when it made an abrupt turn. Well, not a turn. It just went from right to left at an incredible speed. And it made this like 90-degree, almost like an acute angle backward, back in the general direction where it came from, but at an angle that headed southwest. And it just was gone in a second, quick, just as fast as it came out of the atmosphere or wherever. It took off just like that.
So it basically took off, made a 90-degree turn without even slowing down, and just took off. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Oh yeah, exactly. No turn, no like inertia where you have to stop like a helicopter. It just bounced right back off like a pinball and took off. No sound, nothing, no streak, and just disappeared out in the distance. It didn't go straight back up like a space shuttle. It just went back south, like in that general direction where they're always talking about, where it's, I think, the Guadalupe Islands, from all the other reports that I'm hearing of this event, took off southwest. I'm sorry, southeast. Well, yeah, southwest.
Yeah, southeast, they'd run into the coast pretty quick at the speeds they were moving.
Oh yeah.
Okay, PJ, something like that, and I know that you weren't a radar technician, but something like that would be picked up on the radar, correct?
Oh, no, we were tracking those objects.
You were? Okay.
The Princeton was tracking them. Even the Hawkeye was tracking them when we were airborne.
Okay, so maybe you can walk me through a little bit when this started and how it kind of progressed.
Like I said, I didn't realize the full extent of any of this until well after it all happened. I had my own little part, and that's all I thought happened, and I moved on real quick.
Okay.
But, the Hawkeye is usually the first or second plane off the deck other than the SAR helicopter. So if everything's airborne, we're airborne. And we're usually the last ones to come back. And one of my jobs is to man up the airplane. We turn everything on. We power up the scopes, the radar, all the communications. We get it all ready to fly. And then we turn it over to the aircrew who goes flying. And on the 14th, the day of, Kramer's intercept and the day the FLIR footage was recorded, we were testing some, well, not necessarily testing, we were evaluating some software that was on the airplane. So we were actually recording some of the emissions. And I hit the record button on that plane before it left the deck. So it was recording the entire time Kramer had his intercept. And I killed that recording when it returned. So we recorded that whole flight. And there's a plethora of data on those recordings that was taken by my commanding officer and 2 Air Force officers about a half hour after the plane returned.
Yeah, I'd like to get into that a little bit. Finish your story, but I do want to dig into that a little.
And I just received confirmation today that data did go somewhere, and it was used to brief people. So, I kind of had wondered for a long time where that data went, and I learned in a roundabout way where it went today. So it went somewhere, and it was used. So,
despite what some people would say, there is something of interest within all that data.
I'm trying to think how to say this. The Hawkeye has a radar. The Hawkeye's got IFF. It's got an ESM suite, which is essentially passive detection of electronic signals. And it had some other stuff. And then it had a system called CEC. Why everything CEC does is not public knowledge. The fact that CEC exists is public knowledge. And it basically creates a giant network that anybody who's tied into it, it shares all the data. So the Hawkeye can be a central node in that system, and it saw everything the Princeton saw. It saw everything the Nimitz saw. It saw everything ground station saw. There was a big picture, and it was all consolidated into one spot, and that's on that Hawkeye. The ESM system alone picks up electronic signals, and if that object was emanating any type of electronic signal, we would have tracked it. We would have tracked all kinds of information about it. And all of that was being recorded, and then it was taken.
So originally, there was some thought that the system that Kevin Day was operating or monitoring, the original thought was that there was something wrong with that system, and it was shut down and rebooted, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when was that in relation to Fravor's intercept?
A couple days before, to my knowledge.
Okay, so that was beforehand, and the system was looked at and basically determined to be operational.
Yep, and when they brought it back up, they were actually getting the same tracks better and stronger than they were before they killed the radar.
Could that be would it be from the craft being closer or something they're emanating, or would that be something that wouldn't be unusual when a system was shut down and rebooted and brought back up online?
I mean, all they essentially did was, when they shut it down, is they're resetting everything and giving the system, a full reboot, and then it just goes back to what it was doing. And just the nature of a radar, sometimes a signal can degrade or a system can kind of get itself a little out of whack. And when you reboot it, it kind of brings everything all back into alignment, and that's why they were getting much clearer signals. But I'm not a Spy 1 expert. You'd have to kind of direct some of those more detailed questions to Gary Voorhees.
Okay. So there is this data on Kevin Day's, would we call it a workstation, computer? Somewhere his data is stored, right? From these events.
Yep. And they came and took all that from Gary.
And then they have, or there is the data from Fravor's aircraft itself.
Fravor's aircraft, they recorded on 8mm tapes, and he actually didn't really bring back anything useful. It was Chad Underwood's flight, which occurred right after Fravor's, that they actually obtained that FLIR footage.
Okay. So that FLIR footage is not from Fravor's plane?
No, it is from Chad Underwood's plane. And there's a much longer version, a much clearer, more detailed version that exists. And it was confirmed by Underwood because obviously he took it.
And we're going to discuss that because there's some that interests me. But Fravor lands, and then how long before all of this data is seized?
I mean, I can't tell you exactly where Fravor went or his timeline. But when the Hawkeye finally landed, we sat on deck for, 15, 20 minutes before they finally let the crew shut the engines down. And then the crew hightailed it into a skip, which is basically a room designed to discuss classified material, and they were debriefed. That's where the Hawkeye crew signed NDAs and did their debriefing. I grabbed all our classified stuff out of the airplane, went down to my shop, put it in our safe, and with a half hour of that plane landing, my skipper was at the door with 2 Air Force guys asking for all that stuff.
Would that debriefing with that kind of urgency and security be typical of a standard flight? Would that be something that wouldn't be out of the ordinary?
No, it was extremely out of the ordinary, because normally they would have gotten off the airplane, they would have talked to me to let me know how the flight was. They would have gone to our ready room and done their own debrief. The fact that they were essentially sequestered into the airplane and then sent right to the skiff, somebody knew what was going on, and somebody had a purpose for wanting them where they were.
Do you know who, or could you see by rank who it was that was moving them into the secure debriefing room?
No, I was still up on deck at that point.
Okay. So it's within a half hour or so that this data is seized. Where did these seemingly men in suits come from?
Well, when we're out to sea, there's only really 2 ways on, and one's the COD, which is a C-2 Greyhound, and the other is by helicopter. And I know for a fact they couldn't have come on the COD, because I'm always around when that thing lands, and I can see who gets on and off of it. But the helicopters land and take off so often throughout the day that somebody could be on there, get off, and you wouldn't even notice. So that's my assumption, and we were only about a 40-minute flight time from San Diego.
Okay, so they could have conceivably been on shore and began their flight when this started and still made it in time.
Conceivably, yeah.
But it seems like they would almost have to know, almost from the very beginning of the events of that day or the flight, that this was unusual, just to be out there so quickly, because you'd have to scramble a helicopter. I mean, I would imagine that it would take more than a few minutes to get everything together to be prepared to fly to get out there.
I mean, yes and no. In an ordinary circumstance, what you just said is probably very true. But we'd also been tracking these for almost a week before the intercepts happened. All that data, well, not all of it, a good portion of that data was available to people on shore so they could easily know what was going on. So there's more than enough time for people to mobilize and know ahead of time, hey, this is happening. Let's go get it.
Could they have just been waiting for the right event or the right moment to come out? Or were they looking, were they waiting for some sort of particular event before they came out?
I mean, my guess is they were waiting for some actual, hard data, which they would have gotten at that time.
Omar, were you on the flight deck at all when this helicopter came in?
I probably was, but so many other things going on. You're dodging Tomcats and everything's coming in, and just like PJ said, the E2 is usually the first and the last one to come in, and once all the other jets get in, I kind of probably walk off the deck and do everything else. But no, I didn't see that. I didn't see the chopper come in. But like I said, it's a strong possibility because we're 40 miles off the coast, and it's not that far for the helo to come in and out.
PJ, would there be?
And I had no. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I had no, and like I said, I had no clue with these guys because my security clearance, they got all the juice in regards to all the information. And like just to reiterate what he said, they had a strong possibility of knowing this was already going on. And I guess after the intercepts, with Fravor and the other pilot, they probably said, let's get over there quick and get this data off, the wall bangers and whoever else was involved.
All right. PJ, if somebody of importance were flying out on a helicopter, would activity slow down at all on the aircraft carrier, or would there be any kind of security protocols that may be put in place that if this were, say, an admiral or somebody of known importance, would things have been altered a little bit?
If a VIP of that level came on, you'd know because they'd have people out there to meet them.
Yes, and I would know about that one too, if it was an admiral.
But it seems like these two gentlemen kind of just sort of slipped in with all the traffic and ongoing activity?
Yep.
Does that strike
Just to add to that, once the helicopter is landing, it's landing actually in the general runway where the jets take off and land. So usually everything kind of slows down once all the aircraft were back and this helo came in. So they could easily just stepped off the helo and went right to the left and down into the skin of the ship. They didn't have to even cross the deck, depending on where they landed. But most of the time they're landing on spot 8, and that's almost in the middle area of the aircraft carrier.
Okay. PJ, do you know if anybody met them or who met them on the flight deck?
I couldn't tell you. I know they were accompanied by my commanding officer when they finally met me.
Okay. When they approached you, when they came up, what transpired?
Essentially, where my spot was on the ship, where my work center was, if my commanding officer wanted to talk to me, we went to him. He didn't come to us. So the fact that he showed up at our door already was abnormal. And then he's got 2 guys in Air Force flight suits standing right behind him. He walks in, he asks for the bricks, which are the hard drives off that airplane, and it's not totally abnormal for him to ask for them, but normally he would have told us to bring them to him.
Okay.
And it's actually kind of odd and awkward because we had to wait for a minute because our safe required 2 different combinations, and the other half of the combination wasn't there at the moment. So we had to wait for the other half to get back before I could open the safe to get them. And what's even more strange is when I went to go log all that stuff out to my commanding officer, I was told to stop and not log anything out. So there was actually no record of those leaving my safe, which there always is.
Is there a record of them going into the safe?
Yes.
And that wasn't confiscated or deleted or anything like that?
Nope.
Interesting. I mean, I know it's a small point, but it's kind of interesting because the Navy's pretty strict on keeping tabs on things.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So as you were waiting to open the safe, these 2 gentlemen, what was their demeanor like? Were they talkative? Were they seeming to be comfortable, or were they very quiet and stoic and sort of avoiding any interaction with people they didn't have to interact with?
I mean, they just stood there. That's all I can really say about them is they just stood there.
Did they seem to have any military appearance, training? I mean, I know they just stood there, but
they were Air Force officers. They were lower-ranking Air Force officers.
Okay. Because I've heard some speculation, and I'll get your guys' take on this, that this could have been anything from, well, aliens trying to get the data to the men in black. You know, when you look out there on the Twitterverse and on social media, everybody likes to speculate and toss out their opinion. We've got about 3 minutes left before we have to go to our next break. PJ, what do you think of those speculations that this was some form of alien or man in black type situation?
Well, I'm going to explain it to you this way. There's no way two random people are going to show up and convince my commanding officer to give away classified material. Whoever those people were, they had the appropriate credentials to tell him to come get this stuff. He didn't just be like, oh, I'm going to bleed you and go give away classified material.
So the authority came from within the military somewhere?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to, and I don't mean to make light of it, but I wanted to address that because when you look out there, this seems to lose some of its importance when people start throwing out that this was, you know, those kinds of events, whether you want to say it was aliens stealing the data or men in black. I think it trivializes what was going on because this was, in fact, or most likely was, somebody from the military collecting data that the military didn't want just lying around. Even though it was protected, they wanted it in their custody away from everybody else.
I mean, I can make that real simple for whoever wants to say that it's not true. It was the military. I learned today where that data went and who got it. So I know it was the military that took it. You know,
and they're going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Those Air Force guys in their uniforms in that aircraft carrier where we're out to sea, you know, we're not dressed like you see on television. We were kind of all dirty and grimy and oily, and those working on the deck. So when these guys come in the Air Force uniforms, they stick out like a sore thumb, man. It's just a totally different uniform from what you're used to.
Now, when you guys say flight suit and uniform, are you kind of using them interchangeably? Were they wearing what we would picture as the Air Force dress uniform, or were they wearing a flight suit type garment?
Flight suit.
Okay. Any markings on it? Any identifying markings? Just have to ask.
They were lower. I don't remember, exactly what rank, but they were lower ranking. There's the flight suits between a Navy officer and an Air Force officer look the same. The insignia is drastically different. The ranks are colored different. The patches are in different places. It is very easy for somebody in the military to tell the difference between their uniforms and our uniforms.
Would it be unusual for the Air Force to come out and collect data like that? Even
yes.
Okay. I mean, even for research or just to analyze the data and maybe learn something, it would be unusual for the Air Force to come directly to an aircraft carrier and grab the data.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Even for me, I had no, like I always reiterate, I had no security clearance. It would be very odd for them to come.
Okay, guys, we're going to step out for another break. We're going to be right back on Spaced Out Saturday.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot. coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby. And tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report. Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I'm bringing you the Woo every Monday through Friday on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going all out to bring you the strangest, oddest stories and subjects I could find for your entertainment. Why? Because when we hit peak Woo, I know I've done my job. So come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, and together, my friends, we own the night.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Sunday. I'm your host, Everett Thiemer, and I thank you for being with us. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. For our digital listeners, we are on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. And don't forget, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us the favor and hit that subscribe button. And they're free. So many other people charge. These are free. You can go back and listen to anything you want for free. And I'm a big fan of that word, free. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping at the Spaced Out Radio Vault, and reading up on the SOR Newswire, where you can find Dave's weekly blog and so much more. Now, tonight, we are talking to Omar Lara and P.J. Hughes. Both were on the Nimitz during the Nimitz Encounter that we've all come to know and analyze and debate so well. And before the break, PJ, you were telling us about the events that were leading up to and the events of the radar and communication data sort of being, I guess, confiscated. Would that be a good word?
Oh, it was definitely confiscated.
And it was by Air Force personnel.
Correct.
Okay. So they come and they grab all of the bricks and the drives, and how much physical material are they taking? Is it a couple of briefcases or just a small box? How much physical material are they taking?
Essentially, they took 6 hard drives.
So not much at all.
No.
Okay. And they get them, and what do? They just get on the helicopter and take off?
Couldn't tell you where they went. They just left.
Did anybody notice the helicopter leaving?
I mean, it would have gone in and out again numerous times.
Just blending in with the general traffic.
Correct.
Okay. So they confiscate this data. What did they get? What do you think that they obtained through collecting this stuff?
They got a solid picture of the entire intercept. They got a solid picture of that object because the radar tracked it. They got a solid, we're just going to call it an electronic reading of any emissions that object might have been making. You know, and with it came the debrief of that crew, because all 5 of those people saw that tic-tac object at basically point-blank range. It flew right up next to the Hawkeye and sat there and then took off.
And they would have caught that data?
Yes.
And they would have caught, or did they confiscate everything from the beginning of this event? Like the previous 6 days or so?
Nope. It was literally just that flight.
What do you think was different, other than it being caught on film? What do you think was different about that flight that made them drew their interest or made them curious about it?
We were recording, and we don't normally do that.
You're talking the video.
It's not a video. It's not a video as in like a video. It records like a VCR, but it records what the operator sees on the screen. And you'd have to have special software to be able to play it back. But you literally just see everything they saw as they saw it throughout the flight.
Now, people have watched that video and analyzed the heck out of it, and everybody's thrown their 2 cents into the ring. But that's not the full video, is it? We're just seeing a tiny little snippet of it.
Correct.
What?
And that was confirmed by the actual pilot who recorded it, that it was much longer.
How much longer was it?
From what I know, it was upwards of 10 minutes.
Wow.
It was much clearer, much more detailed.
Could it have caught, and I've been curious about this for a while, when you listen to the audio and you listen to interviews, it's portrayed that there were many other objects in the sky, but yet only this one was caught. Could verification or proof that other objects were in fact in the air have been caught on that video?
On the FLIR video? I mean, in theory, but I have a feeling if that was the case, Underwood would have said it.
That would make sense. But if this was just a longer version of what we see, what's the purpose of confiscating it?
They didn't. To my knowledge, they never confiscated the FLIR footage.
Okay. Well, then what's the purpose of confiscating? Well, let's ask it this way: what's the purpose of confiscating any of this if the FLIR footage was released anyway? Because it wasn't. It's not like it's really just been released or was released a couple of years ago. It has been out there for quite a while, hasn't it?
It's like 2007.
So where does that play into the confiscation of all the other data?
It doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, you have to look at the FLIR footage as being what popularized this whole thing and brought out whatever information's come out. You know, if it weren't for that footage, if it weren't for Dave Beatty's documentary, you know, I wouldn't have gone public. I'm pretty sure Omar wouldn't have gone public. You know, no. Kevin Day started the UAP expeditions to go out and find more of it. It would have just been what it was. But because that video was leaked, you know, we've discovered and confirmed and brought out all this other information.
That makes sense. I can understand that. So
just to add a few seconds, I think just for the listeners, they don't get confused that P.J. Squadron is not affiliated with Commander Fravor's squadron. They're two different entities, two different aircraft too.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. We don't want people thinking that there was any kind of collusion or anything going on.
That's okay. At one point, I was accused of making all this up because Tom DeLonge was on the Nimitz in 2003.
That's right. I forgot about that. He was jamming out.
Yep.
Did Blink 182 come out to play for the troops?
Yeah.
They did. They did.
2003.
And where
they
was
were like stone cold too.
Where was the Nimitz located when they did this? Was it in port? Was it out?
We were smack dab.
What's that?
We were smack dab in the middle of the Persian Gulf.
Oh, well.
Persian Gulf, yeah.
That's, I'll give
put on
him
a good show, too. Yeah, I put on a good show.
Now,
I wasn't a fan of his until he played. Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I wasn't a fan of him until they showed up and played, because they had like this passion for jamming out the music for us, and it really got us into it, because everyone else was just like stand-up comics. But they just came out and they had like this game face on, ready to roll, their war face, and he started his guitar, and his two counterparts started jamming out, and it was awesome. And ever since then, I listened to his music if it was ever on, because it just kind of reminded me back in the day, being out at sea when they came on board.
Well, Tom DeLonge has a long history of at least an interest in UFOs. When an artist or a celebrity or a couple of celebrities like that come out onto an aircraft carrier, what do they see? How are they treated? Do they get to see some secret, and I shouldn't say secret areas, but are they given opportunities to see things that maybe the average person wouldn't see?
It depends who they are and how
Yeah,
much
they probably get captain's cabin and stuff like that.
Okay,
they get to go in the captain's cabin, hang out. We don't get to do that during our time out at sea. I've probably never even seen a captain's cabin.
Well, it's interesting that they would make that jump, but then again, like I said, with his history and interest in UFOs, maybe the bigger coincidence is that he was there, and then the Nimitz encounter happened. I mean, you could say what are the odds of it a little bit, but I'm not going to go down those speculation routes.
Yeah,
it is just, do you think there's any connection there?
Hell no.
No, nothing. This happened, what, a year and a half almost before? Yeah, about a year and a half before our second cruise, because we had to skedaddle out of there quick because of a war on terrorism. But no, no way.
So it's just a coincidence or fluke that he was there a year and a half before this happened. He's had a long interest in UFOs, and now he's obviously involved in the UFO field rather extensively, rather heavily.
It's all coincidence. Somebody was just
the stars aligned and the galaxy aligned perfectly, and he just happened to come on board.
Yeah, that happens. Omar.
Yeah, it was a USO tour, basically. Other stars and celebrities were there with him.
Oh, what's that like a little bit? I mean, what's it like when these guys and women come out there? Is it a little bit? Is it fun? Is it sort of a festive occasion, or is everybody still really focused on their jobs?
It's festive. Both, yeah. Yeah, you get some time off, and it breaks the monotony, everything that's going on, and you just get some other real world humans on board and providing entertainment for us, and that was great. That was a great thing about it.
Yeah, Omar, I want to throw this back to you a little bit, because before the show we were talking about how after the fact and during the fact, this affected some people on the ship pretty intensively, didn't it?
It did. That is one experience that I take from this. Just to rewind back, when this object took off, our radar systems had to pick this up also, because we went into general quarters. And when you go into general quarters, that means it's a battle station. Like something is going on. It's usually a drill. I've only been in 2 real world ones, but this one happened to be 3. This happened to be one of the 3. But as soon as they called general quarters, they canceled it. And they never really call a real general quarters when there's a sailor actually overboard, and one we were off the coast of San Diego or wherever we were at that time. So our radar systems on board picked that up too, and that lasted about a quick 30 seconds. I didn't have time to put my goggles down because they were going to try to launch one of the aircrafts that stayed behind, and he was either going to try to chase this thing, but I don't know. But yes, soon after that happened, I went into flight deck control to kind of get back into business and talk to the fuelie that's in there monitoring the system on board the flight deck. And I was saying something to him, and he had no clue what had happened. Near did the aircraft handler that's sitting in the chair, and a few of the other yellow shirts came back in, and one of them said, "What the F, what the F was that?" And I turned around and looked at him to laugh, and that's when I saw this other sailor sitting down, with his hands in like the praying motion, like the emoji, and he was praying, and he was in a deep prayer, and I just kind of looked at him, and everyone just kind of went their way there. So that affected him in a different way for me. For me, it was just kind of odd and quick, and you see something move the way it did. That's nothing that our aircraft in the Navy that I know of can do, or that I've ever seen in my 10 years out at sea, 8 to 10 years out at sea. And it spooked him. And even walking into the initial walk in the flight deck control, there was this eerie silence amongst everyone else who had walked in after this object took off the way it did.
Now, had the man overboard been retrieved when this general quarters call came out?
No, he was still out there.
So this was serious enough, or it was taken seriously enough that they would basically recall everybody and leave this person out there for a period of time?
Well, those who were on the rescue sponson and the boat, they still stayed on their station because they are accounted for. They know who's there at that moment for the man overboard. So they'll stay and do their duty to get this guy back on the ship. But everyone else would have to man their battle station in the event that we were actually going to be attacked by something, right? But these guys would still have to go get that guy maybe, or would they have to pull him back in because they don't want to get them hurt? But like I said, that's the one time in the Navy that we went into a full general quarters in the event of an actual man overboard. And it was called, and it was called off quick. So it was done. So that's my confirmation that combat systems pick something up within our close vicinity, within our radar system, and it probably scared to spook somebody in there to call general quarters. Who knows?
Did either of you see anything that would maybe register that, something like that would be called? Or were you guys kind of unaware of anything sort of in attack mode, to use a simple person's kind of speak?
I'm pretty sure.
Go ahead, BJ. Go ahead. You're the radar man.
I'm pretty sure I was sleeping when that happened.
I mean, it was in our vicinity, so our system picked it up.
Now
it dropped right out of the sky.
Would there be an automated or an algorithm that would pick something like that up and maybe indicate to somebody that this call should come out, or would it be something that somebody would see and they would determine and actually make the call?
From my knowledge of the Navy, I would say that's a possibility. But I'm not privy to any radar work or anything. I never touched the radar while I was in the Navy.
PJ, what do you think? Because there's a big difference between maybe some data kicking something out and indicating that an alert like that could be or should be called versus somebody looking at real-time data and making the decision to make a call like that.
There's a guy it's an officer, and it's various officers depending on, it's a watch for them, so depending on what time of day it is, who's there. But they're called a tactical action officer, and ultimately they're the ones who call away general quarters like that. So somebody presented them with the information, and they made the call.
So there was somebody saw enough of a threat to make this call.
Correct.
And then it was quickly, what would be the term for it? Canceled, discarded?
Yeah, they would just say disregard general quarters, and that's basically what they said.
And how much time was it from when it was issued to when it was told to be disregarded?
No more than 30 seconds. They called it. I started strapping my cranial onto my head, and as I was going to put down my glasses, my eye protection, they called it off.
How long do these? How long would these typically last? I mean, 30 seconds seems really quick, but
yeah, for a drill, they can last an hour to two because you're in simulation that a torpedo has hit us on the starboard side or port side, and they're dogging down all the hatches, basically these watertight doors, simulating fires, simulating casualties, simulating hurt personnel, and you basically just kind of prepare for in the event of something like that happen. But they'll last about an hour or two during that simulation.
So 30 seconds or so is an incredibly short time. But could it have been issued in error?
Maybe. I mean, possibly, but that's where it comes into play where they wouldn't do the drill even if that guy was in the water, because of my experience, they never did one like that. The only time we had an actual one that I truly remember would last more than an hour and a half to 2 hours, and it was a real time general quarters, was when I was on the Eisenhower when we're in the Adriatic Sea, just north of the Mediterranean, and an airliner came within our airspace, and we went into general quarters, and we still launched off some aircraft, to possibly intercept this thing. And it was a little tense moment, but that was about it.
Okay. Hey guys, we've got to step out for another break, and when we come back, I want to ask you guys a little bit, and PJ, this will be for you probably more so, the flight patterns and altitudes and things like that of these different radar returns and what people were picking up on radar, and talk a little bit about some of the differences and what kind of sparked some of this action. So when we get back, we're going to kick it off with that, and we will be right back on Spaced Out Saturday.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docu-series featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and strange humanoids. Truth seekers Stephen Bassett, Jeff Meldrum, Jack Kasher, and Stanton Friedman, among others, all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Sundays. I'm your host, Everett Thiemer. Thanks for spending your evening with us. Don't forget, if you've missed any part of the show, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us the favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping in the SOR Vault, where you can get that Team Stump shirt, joining the Space Travelers Club, and so much more. Now, tonight, we are talking to Omar Lara and P.J. Hughes, two crew members of the Nimitz during the Nimitz Encounter. And both of them have a lot of interesting information to share. And as we come back here, PJ, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the radar data, in that these objects were being tracked, but it seems as though there was no real concern about them while they were flying in that 80,000-foot altitude area. Is that true?
Give or take. I mean, they were never, at least the way I understood it, they were never close enough to us to really bother with us. You know, they didn't interact with us until we went after them.
So what's up at 80,000 feet?
Nothing.
Space.
There wouldn't be commercial craft flying up there.
No.
But would there be military craft? Do we have the capabilities to fly that high, other than a few select bombers or planes?
The SR-71.
What's that?
The SR-71 is about the only thing I know of that goes that high.
So these craft were basically hopping around, flying around up in space, in airspace, that we don't really have the everyday capabilities of reaching. But then it seems as though the concern began when they started dropping down into lower airspace. Is that true?
I mean, they were tracked. They never stayed up there. They were tracked at relatively different altitudes, you know, from sea level all the way up. But they were hiding up near Catalina, so they, like I said, we were down by Baja, Mexico.
Now, there was one instance, wasn't there, where it seemed, I guess I should say at least one instance, where it seems as though the craft went right into the water?
We never really got confirmation on that. So I don't really want to speculate on whether or not it went all the way into the water.
But it just seems as though there is such a discussion now about the idea of USOs.
I mean, it's possible if it was doing what it was doing in the air, the way it was doing it, I have no doubt it would be able to do the same thing underwater.
Okay. I don't know. I know that, was it Fravers that said that it seemed as though it kind of went into the water and there was just some bubbling and foam on the surface of the water?
If I remember correctly, he said he saw something on the surface of the water, you know, roughly the size of a 737, and it was right after that he saw the Tic Tac object.
Okay.
At the surface of the water, like it came from it.
Do you guys think there's any reason that these are... I mean, there's the obvious reason they're called Tic Tacs, or it's called the Tic Tac video. But, you know, by its description, it's not that far off from what we used to call the cigar-shaped UFOs. Do you think there's any reason it isn't referred to as a cigar shape? Is it just kind of out of date? Is it... do you think it's just a matter of they called it Tic Tacs and it fit, or is there an intentional...
I mean, that name came from Chad Underwood. When he was talking about it and asked what it looked like, the first thing that came to his mind was a Tic Tac.
And it just stuck.
Yep.
You know what? That makes sense. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I said the the cigar reference goes back years, right? Like, 1950s, 1940s, correct? Cigar shape.
Yeah.
Is that where it started? So, I mean, I guess those pilots at that time, I guess there weren't any Tic Tacs, right? The breath, the breath mint. So, yeah, it's a possibility. Definitely.
Oh, it could be a generational thing, and now all of a sudden I feel very, very old. Well,
cigar shape.
We've talked about these being, well, we've sort of talked along the idea that they are a UFO craft, but I want to shift gears a little bit and get your guys' opinions on the idea and the implications of these being some form of terrestrial drone.
P.J., you want to go over that one? You got a good one.
In the last month, I've heard that they were holograms, that they were projections, and that they were drones. While the possibility of it being a drone is not out in left field, it could be a drone. We've had drone technology since like the 50s, so it's nothing new for us to have drones. But it's not a hologram. It's not a projection. It was a solid object.
Well, if it were a hologram, and I mean, there are holograms out there. You can go see concerts of
correct
artists that have passed on, and you can see them in hologram form. But if this were a hologram, would it generate a radar return?
No.
So
that's right.
That seems like a rather... that seems like... I hate to use the word crazy, but I mean, that seems like a weak argument or a weak statement.
I agree.
Now, PJ, you mentioned that we've had drone technology since the 50s, and I'll admit that I didn't know that. And the idea of the technology that we had in the 50s and 60s working as drone technology, that had to be entirely different from what we see today. It had to have been incredibly difficult to fly.
I mean, ultimately, the first real large scale use of drones was in Vietnam. They used them for spotting. They used them on the battleships in the 80s for target spotting. Nowadays some of the drones are used with an Xbox controller. So,
oh wow,
they're not that difficult to fly anymore.
Wow, but the optical technology, I would imagine that back then that had to be insanely difficult to land and take off with one of those.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
So, let's just go down that route a little bit and say that these are some form of drone. They don't appear to have the characteristics of what we would know as a drone. Or the flight capabilities of what we would know as a drone, correct?
Essentially.
Definitely. I mean, it broke the laws of our known physics.
I mean, you have to keep in mind, we have fully autonomous drones now that can, from start to finish, do everything themselves without a single input from another person, from an actual person. It does it all itself. So the technology is not that different for, this type of object to be doing stuff on its own with no human intervention.
But the U.S. doesn't have this kind of flight technology right now. We don't have a drone that can make these right angle turns and accelerate and decelerate at these speeds and change altitude
That's
as quickly.
To my knowledge, we don't have that yet.
Well, would it be possible that somebody from the military, a different branch, or somebody from the government would run a test on something if they had the technology? Would they run a test in the airspace of a carrier group like that?
I'm going to explain it the simplest way I can. In 2004, the Nimitz strike group was the tip of the spear. It was the most advanced strike group we had. If I am a government agency going to test a top secret project, I'm going to send it against the best I can. But I want to do it in a controlled manner. And the controlled manner is sending it against somebody who ultimately cannot shoot back very easily. We did not carry weapons. There were weapons on the carrier. There are ways we could have defended ourselves, but it would have taken time, more than enough time for that object to hightail it out of there.
Okay.
Because we were still in training.
But would that be something, and I realize that we are going way out on a limb with this hypothesis, but would that be something the government would actually do? I mean, there are so many other places where they could test something like this without the fanfare, without what happened. Would they run sort of a real-time test like that? And what's that say about the progress they have or the next stage that they have planned? Because it seems to me like if they're going to do something like that, this thing has to be very far advanced and almost ready to deploy against somebody or put in our arsenal if I'm going to, expose it even to military personnel.
Definitely a good chance. That'd be the best time to test it with us at that time, which was 17 years ago. So who knows what they would have now?
Yeah, that is a curious thought, isn't it? But what about the idea?
And
no, go ahead.
If it was ours, I mean, I'd be sick to my stomach because the technology, the speed, the capability of this aircraft should be the peacemaker. We should not be sending boots and troops on the ground. This thing should just do what it has to do, scare some folks overseas, to not even try to lift a finger on us again.
What about the possibility that it is some sort of enemy technology, maybe from an adversary that we don't have intelligence on their capabilities as much as we'd like to, and maybe this is something that somebody else has developed?
It's entirely possible.
If it was, maybe we'd be done by now. There'd probably be no SOR radio. We'd be talking whatever that country wanted us to talk about.
Well, that's the little bit of a frightening part, because we talk about how technology is so far advanced militarily than maybe what the average consumer or average citizen would see or hear or know about. So in that respect, it's almost conceivable that there could be something like this. But I'm going to be honest with you, I have a hard time believing that it is something our own country has right now. And I have a hard time believing that any country would have this technology, but we don't know. And I think despite what anybody's view is on what these objects were, we need to discuss and eliminate maybe the idea that this was a foreign technology. And by foreign, I mean terrestrial foreign, not foreign from 25 light years away.
I agree. I definitely agree. I don't think it's from this planet. You know what I mean? It's not from this planet.
But PJ, what are the ramifications if it is?
I'm going to kind of try and explain it this way. There's stuff I know about in technology I dealt with while I was in the service that the average person doesn't know, that Omar doesn't know because he was never cleared for it. And I'd be stupid to believe that if there's stuff I know about that other people don't, that there isn't stuff that I don't know about.
That makes sense.
The possibility is very strong that the technology could be ours. And to carry on a little bit of what I was saying about 2004 and them testing it against the best we had, if you look at the gimbal and the go fast videos, that strike group in 2015 was the best we had. It was the most advanced technology the Navy had at the time.
And I think using that argument, it's a key point to point out again that they weren't readily able to shoot this craft down or these craft down. So if they did want to run a test and have the vehicle return safely, that would be probably one of the better or safer bets to take to do it.
Exactly.
Do you think if you, how do I put this? What do you think the likelihood is that it could be a different country's craft then? I mean, if we have technology that many of us are not aware of, and I think we can all agree to that, especially PJ, you would know. Is it possible that somebody like China or North Korea has something like this that maybe our intelligence agencies haven't picked up?
I wouldn't say it's not possible, but I'd say it's very unlikely.
The reason I ask is because I would think that if that were the case, this would be some form of ongoing thing where we would still be seeing some form of report or something rather than what seems to be like an isolated incident of these things being spotted over a relatively short period of time. And I realize that UFO or UAP sightings happen all the time, but this one, in the amounts that were tracked and reported and the length of it, if it were in fact some other country's military advantage, I would think, our intelligence officers and outlets out there would have some knowledge of it, and it would be a little bit more ongoing. We would have evidence of the next step of whatever their plan is 15 years later.
Definitely. I mean,
agreed.
They if it was theirs, they, I would say in these terms, they flexed on us. They showed their might. And who's to say why they didn't go farther as far as doing something with it to either show how powerful they've gotten against our battle groups. But maybe they just didn't want to start war, but who knows? I mean, different avenues and angles are out there, and I just really hope it's not our technology.
You hope it's
or anybody else's.
You
hope it's not.
Okay, I'm going to ask, but I think I
the
understand.
energy, yeah. What's that?
Why do you hope it's not? And I'm sure I know the answer, but I'm just going to ask anyway.
Sure. The technology, for one, it's the power that it was using. Why can't we use that for something else, for better, instead of weaponizing it? Well, for travel, for logistics, for bettering, the earth for better use.
I understand that, and PJ, what are your thoughts on that?
I can go both ways. I can see why we keep it a secret, and I can equally see why we shouldn't.
See, I just, the idea of it being extraterrestrial scares me, I guess, maybe a little bit more than it being our advancements in technology, simply because if this is what some form of extraterrestrial has out there, really it shows that they could potentially squash us like grapes.
Absolutely. Definitely. And maybe they've been coming, visiting here for millennia, you know what I mean?
Well, I think there's evidence that some people would point out that they have been. And, you know, that leads to, if they're so far advanced, when you guys look at the propulsion of these things, and I realize that you guys didn't necessarily work in that kind of field, but you were around the aircraft that we have for 10 years. You guys were virtually around them every day. What is different? I mean, we don't have anything, as far as I know, that can operate like this, right?
Correct.
No, I never saw anything else. I mean, we saw generations of aircraft, from the Tomcat to the A-6B to basically the whole fleet going into Super Hornets. And as we were getting out, I know as I was getting out, they were starting to do the strike fighter, the F-35, I believe, testing it on the aircraft carrier.
But on the other hand,
getting out of the service is what I meant.
No, I was going to say, on the other hand, in basically 110 years, we've gone from a 4-second flight 50 feet up to almost, 70, 80,000 feet up. Yeah, at supersonic speed. So there is quite a leap there. And if that's, let's say, just to make the math simple, let's say that was 110 years. If technology is, secret government technology is 50 to 75 years more advanced than what we know, is it conceivable then that this would be somebody's terrestrial objects?
Definitely conceivable. Could be.
Yep.
You say that, yep, like, what are your thoughts on it? Because I can't read that yep.
I mean, I lean much more towards it being earthbound, our technology, than I do anything else.
Okay. And you know what? We're going to step out for a quick break here. When we get back, can you explain or elaborate on your thinking of that? Because I am, and I think many people who watch and follow this, I think everybody's a little bit on the fence. It's really interesting and fun to say, oh, this is from another planet. But I think that, I don't know, I think people are interested in the idea that it could be our technology. Can you, when we come back, can you elaborate a little bit on your thoughts?
Yep.
Okay.
I can.
Fantastic. We're going to step out for a break. We'll be right back on Spaced Out Saturday.
Hey, space travelers. This is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know, we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I'm bringing you the Woo every Monday through Friday on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going all out to bring you the strangest, oddest stories and subjects I could find for your entertainment. Why? Because when we hit peak Woo, I know I've done my job. So come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, and together, my friends, we own the night.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thaw. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Sundays. I'm your host, Everett Thiemer. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Don't forget, if you've missed any part of the show, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us the favor and hit that subscribe button. Hitting that subscribe button is what helps keep those things free. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping in the SOR Vault, joining the Space Travelers Club, where for $5 a month you can join our ongoing chat, give us what you're thinking in our forums, check out some really cool exclusive content, and so much more. Before the break, well, through the entire show, we've been talking to P.J. Hughes and Omar Lara, about their experiences on the USS Nimitz during what we've come to know as the Nimitz Encounter. And PJ, right before the break, we were kind of talking about the idea of this being terrestrial technology. And you have some interesting ideas and thoughts and maybe some clues that this could be some form of our own engineering or our own technology?
Yeah. Based on kind of clues and hints I've picked up from talking to people who can't quite say everything, too many things have been put in place for me to really think I'm like 60-40 on it being earthbound technology versus alien. So, I'm still pretty close to the middle, but I've leaned towards our tech from the beginning for the most part because of stuff I know, stuff I've experienced, stuff I've worked with. And when you start adding into what I know, the details I've gotten from other people and the, subtle hints and subtle clues I've picked up from some other people, that's why I say it's probably our stuff.
When you say our stuff, do you mean U.S. military or do you mean terrestrial as in earthbound, whether it be ours or in other countries?
Ultimately, it's earthbound, but every ounce of me wants it to be ours because if it's somebody else's, we're screwed eventually.
Yeah, that's a dangerous scenario. Can you share with us any of these clues or hints that you've kind of picked up? I know that some of them you can't really share, but is there anything that if somebody's analyzing this or looking at it for the first time, is there something they can kind of keep in mind that could help them see this point of view?
Ultimately today, I had a long conversation with somebody and pretty much got confirmation about what happened to my bricks, my hard drives when they were taken and what was done with them. They were used to brief certain people. You also have a recent Freedom of Information Act request that talks about briefings that they won't release because they deal with national security. You kind of start putting all this together, and that's why I say what I say and what I think about what I think. You just have to put all the puzzle pieces together.
And this is where the idea of them wanting to test it with the best who also aren't readily armed kind of falls into place, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Omar, you said you hoped it wasn't ours or earthly technology. How does what PJ just said kind of resonate or affect you?
Oh, it's a valid argument, valid debate. They're testing it, of course, against the powerful fleet that's out there at the time, testing their capabilities and our capabilities, And definitely, I would agree to disagree with them, and that's where I reiterate that I hope it's not our technology. And if it is, we've broken the laws of physics. We've broken the laws of our new propulsion systems, what we could use. Then let's not weaponize that. Let's use it for the greater good. But, that's probably too far from between from anything possibly happening like that. Because it's not using jet engine oil. It's not using other forms of propulsion, It's just the capability of this object in this aircraft is nothing I've ever seen.
Well, PJ, Omar's right in the sense that this is almost an entirely, or is an entirely new propulsion system. Is this something?
Agreed.
Is this something that does break the laws of physics? Is this something that validates, some of the statements out there, whether it be Bob Lazar or some other people who have made claims that they've created new propulsion systems? And does this eventually fit into the space program?
I mean, ultimately, whatever
wow,
it is, whether it's ours or it's alien, when we find out what it is, it's going to change what we know about a whole lot of things.
Is it possible that there's one sect of the government that knows what it is, and there's another group that doesn't know what it is, and they're just kind of one's chasing the other's tail?
So you're asking
absolutely.
me one government doesn't know what the other part of the government is doing?
I know it's an obvious question, but I got to throw it out there.
Oh, that's 100% possible. The left hand never knows what the right.
So, with your 60-40 leaning that this is probably or possibly our own, is this something that's being developed with a military contractor? Is this something that's simply, is it so secretive or so classified that it's being kept very in-house? Where do you see this fitting kind of on the scale of where it is in the industrial or military-industrial complex?
I mean, I can tell you a few places I know it's not because I've been there, but beyond that, I couldn't answer that question.
Okay, tell us where it's not.
I can tell you it didn't come out of Plant 42 in Palmdale because I've been there.
Okay, that's fair enough. What about?
And if it was our military technology, I think a FOIL request could get it out. So it's got to be in some private industry.
Well, yeah, that's where private industry comes into play, isn't it?
Yes, you can hide behind that.
Would this be something that somebody like Boeing would be working on? Is this something that what kind of or what companies would have the capabilities and technology to work on something like this?
Off the top of my head, two I could think of would be DARPA and Skunk Works.
PJ?
I mean, it definitely sounds like something DARPA could be doing.
That's, the more we dig into this a little bit, the more it gets a little bit so conspiratorial, a little bit frightening. I don't know. I want to ask if this is our technology, where does the space travel factor in, especially right now where everybody is so hot to trot and so ready to make the trips to Mars, and you have Elon Musk out there with his plans with SpaceX, and you have the idea of solar system travel and interstellar travel. Does this play into that at all, where it moves, either becomes public and known as a defense a defense item and then gets moved into that kind of sector, or does it stay hidden as a defense item?
Well, if it is, and he's wasting a whole lot of money. Because the logistics with that thing can move. You know, it moved like that in the atmosphere, in our atmosphere, and it was dropping out of 80,000 feet from the report. Who knows its capability in space, but the vast speed and distance that thing traveled, I mean, that helps Elon Musk with his ability to get to Mars much quicker, and he doesn't have to spend a whole lot of dough for what he's doing now.
But it doesn't help him if it's simply a defense contract.
That's right.
That's
true.
It's left for the defense contractors, and that's I guess that's where I'm so up in the air on some of this.
Yeah, and I've heard those reports with Mr. Balazar, the Area 51 gentleman.
Yes.
And he said that they had this capability, but they couldn't really make it work, so to say. If I'm corrected, I might not be. I'm not really too knee deep with any of this stuff, but he says they've had some of these downcraft, and that we just know what it is. We just don't know how to make it work.
PJ, what are your
maybe
thoughts?
Some other part?
I mean,
what are your thoughts on the idea of it being just an advancement on some of what Bob Lazar has spoken about? Because that first came out, 35 years ago now? 30 years ago?
I frankly find it hard to believe a lot of what he says. So
I'll keep my opinion quiet.
But it boils down to whatever that object is, whatever the Tic Tac object is, it's a scary proposition for how much of our knowledge and our civilization will change based off of that technology.
That is true. Definitely.
If that is our technology, how far out until we see it as commercial technology, in your opinion?
When we run out of oil?
Do you honestly think if there was just say propulsion technology, regardless of all the other physics associated with that object, do you think tomorrow, if they announced that we had that propulsion technology, that it would not cripple so many industries? It would not basically destroy industries. It would destroy the automotive industry because we'd be able to re-engineer cars, aviation. It would rewrite everything we know about travel in this country, and it would basically upend the country.
I could see that.
And I think that has to do with why it is a secret if it is ours.
And that plays a little bit into what Omar just said about when the oil runs out. I mean, we can leave the debates of the when for other people, and we can leave the debates for the debates of the emissions and global warming and that kind of thing for other people. But eventually it will run out, whether that's in 100 years or 10,000 years, we really don't know. But we are going to have that next kind of propulsion system, or that next kind of engineering to move on beyond what we would consider the gas-fired engine or something like that. And even I'm gonna get hundreds of emails for this one. Even electric cars, you're probably burning some form of oil or gas when you charge it, because so many. While we have nuclear and wind power, a majority of the power is still coal or oil or natural gas. So you're just burning it in a different place and putting it into a different a different form and putting it in your car. But we will have to move past that one day. And could this be it? Does it stay secret? And I realize that we are, again, playing with hypotheticals. But if this is terrestrial or American technology, does it stay secret like it is? Is it left to be debated until something energy-wise happens? Because it seems like it's a good system right now.
I could see that. I could see them waiting.
Release it eventually. They're waiting.
I just wonder how long. You know, things can't stay secret forever, and people and industries want to make money. If this were something that, whether it be our government or another government, and I realize I'm being redundant when I say it that way, but I think we have to be clear that it could simply be terrestrial. We don't know whose government ultimately controls the technology. But when money is involved in something like this that could revolutionize so many industries, what happens if that secret gets out?
Yeah, start a war.
Oh, it'll be a war not involving oil.
Yeah, that'll be first. I'd be upset. I mean, I'll definitely be upset. And like I said, my neighbor's a widow for the wars that we fought, what we were training for to help the boots on the ground in Iraq. They could have used this. They could have used this thing to scare the crap out of somebody, pretend it's one of their religious gods dropping out of the sky, doing some circles or whatever, and maybe drop these people down to their knees because we broke the laws of physics and propulsion systems. But yes, they gotta have to probably keep it real tight because you're breaking all those industries that our OPEC is dollars sold. You know, the oil is sold with our dollar. And there goes our money. Excuse me.
PJ, I wanted to ask you this. This has, and you know what, Omar, for you too, this has been sort of classified as sort of an isolated incident or a military incident. If it is terrestrial, how long, or no, let me rephrase that. If it is extraterrestrial, if it is an alien technology, how long do you think it is until the average person begins to see craft like this and operating like this? Or do you think that, well, we're just going to continue on with hearing the reports of craft hovering in the sky and, not really fitting this description, but similar?
Can I go there first?
Yeah.
I think people do see these things, but most of them probably don't even report it because of, the ridicule or disdain that they'll probably get for some people. Maybe the majority of the public doesn't even understand the UFOlogy culture. So even if it was our aircraft, they would probably automatically associate it as it being a UFO. So they won't want to say anything about it. And basically, other people are actually going to just know it from what we see on television. And I think we all know sometimes television is controlled by who, what entity, of course, gets to disseminate whatever information they want at any given time.
PJ, your thoughts?
Not really sure I have any.
Yeah.
Just to add on to mine, I wasn't aware of the UFO subculture until, 2-3 years since all this has come out.
Really?
If I would have known, yes, sir. If I would have known 2 months, 2 weeks after I got out of the service in 2008, I would have called Everett, said, hey, you got the Spaced Out Radio show? I got a story for you. And we would have been talking about it before all this other stuff that came out. I had no clue. When I finally started delving into some of this stuff, I came across one individual was talking about reptilians and presidents, and I kind of shined off like, man, no wonder why no one ever wants to talk about this stuff. And like I said, that's when I came across George Knapp.
Well, yeah, some of the UFO community certainly do a good job of shooting themselves in the foot with some of the ideas and statements that they have out there. And there are definitely some good researchers out there, and there are some topics and some ideas and some sightings that are worth pursuing. You just, when somebody looks at the UFO, I guess subculture is a fair word, when you look at it, you have to kind of filter out some of the statements, ideas, nonsense, and put on some critical thinking glasses. But
absolutely, and just to touch on that, that's why I went out to David Beatty. He put all the time and effort to make that movie when no one else was really doing too much, I guess, at the time, and I didn't really have any other avenue to reach out. And I said, man, this guy's really getting the story within the story of this. And to his credit, I mean, he's really brought out a significant amount of, a handful of witnesses, and we're getting even more information. I'm even learning more now from PJ, from off the cuff, from our show that we're doing, listening to what he's telling us.
We've got about 2 minutes before break, and PJ, I'm going to give you the final thought on this. If this is terrestrial or American technology, is it possible that in the past 15 years or so, they've kind of slipped this into our, well, as Omar put it, into the UFO subculture, where people are seeing this and not, or seeing objects like these and not even tying it to the Nimitz encounter?
I could easily see that. I mean, a lot of people just don't pay attention to anything that doesn't involve them.
So
that's true. I mean, that information's out there with the news releasing this gun camera footage, and you would think that it'd be one of the top talked about things on television, but obviously the times that we're in now, it's not.
Well, who controls the information, controls the narrative, controls the story. Yes,
sir.
It's always the way it goes. Guys, I'm going to get you to hold on for 1 second here, because we're going to our final break. And when we come back, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the recent changes the Navy has made regarding reporting UFOs, and maybe a little bit about the culture of the Navy lifestyle and being in the Navy 20 years ago, 10 years ago versus now with these changes. So we will be right back on Spaced Out Sunday. Yeah, Saturday. I keep getting my days confused. It's Spaced Out Saturday, people.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Are you addicted to the woo? Good. Me too. This is Dave Scott, and you can woo it up with me every Monday through Friday, starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, for 3 hours of great entertainment in the subjects you love. UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, intuition. Yes, we hit it all 5 days a week. Look for us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, my friends, we own the night.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hey Spaced Out Radio fans, it's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Saturday. I'm your host, Everett Thiemer. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Don't forget, if you missed any part of the show, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us the favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping in the SOR Vault, joining the Space Travelers Club, and so much more. Now, we're kicking off this final segment. This has been a quick show. I can't believe we only have about 25 minutes left. And we're talking with P.J. Hughes and Omar Lara, and they were both on the Nimitz during the Nimitz Encounter. And both of them have some unique views and some fascinating stories to tell. And guys, as we finish this up, I want to ask you a little bit about Navy guidelines. Because in April of 2019, the Navy changed their guidelines on how personnel would report or could report unusual sightings, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
And I want to start off with you, Omar. How did this change sort of affect, or how do you think this change would affect personnel today versus when you were in service? Did you feel like if you had seen something, there would be a stigma attached to saying anything about it? And do you think that these new guidelines are going to help open that up for today's personnel?
To start off with the first part, I think there would have been a stigma. I mean, you would hear reports of guys would never want to report this, but for our incident, it just got so vast open with all the other radar hits and all the people involved. But for me, being a flight decker, being on an aircraft carrier, dodging these jets, I've talked to people who are still active who are aware of this Nimitz incident, and I've told them, hey, the Navy has come out with these guidelines on how to report this stuff. And they were dumbfounded. They were like, really? I haven't heard any of that. But then you got to take into account the people I'm talking to were the same people who I was 17 years ago with no security clearance. We weren't fighter pilots. We weren't work center radar technicians such as Gary Voorhees, Kevin Day, or intertwined with sophisticated top secret equipment like Mr. Hughes. So maybe for some, they would definitely get the word, but my guys and my buddies who are still active, they had no clue. And just to think about that, I think if I was still active, maybe I probably wouldn't get the memo. You know what I mean? We didn't get that memo saying, hey, if you ever see any UFOs, you know, you're okay to report it. But maybe when it comes to a radar technician or a fighter pilot, those are the people that the memo's basically kind of going out to. But it is in public realm that the Navy guidelines are now set to report these anomalous objects.
Well, PJ, Omar brings up an interesting point. You worked with more of the classified technical aspect of some of these things. Do you think these guidelines will change anything in your field in the Navy, in your career? You know, the people working today. Did you feel a stigma, or would you have felt a stigma back then? Had you reported something, especially dealing with the data and information that you were dealing with? Was it kind of looked down upon or discouraged?
Oh, yeah. I pretty much would have thought of it as risking my security clearance to say something. But I'm pretty sure that whole change of recruiting procedures had nothing to do with the Navy, despite the fact it was in the Navy. I'm pretty sure it was said to appease the civilian population, not actually change anything.
Are you talking about the new guidelines?
Yep.
Well, it is interesting that Omar mentioned speaking to people and not even being aware of this. It seems like if there is a policy in place, whether you are top brass or low man on the totem pole, if there's a policy within the organization, everybody should be on the same page and know of it, especially in an organization that's a military organization where rules and chain of command and uniformity are sort of the keystones of it.
The key word there was should.
Yes. And I know we talked about this earlier. I could not, if PJ and I were best buds out at import out at sea, hanging out, and I wanted to go into his work center with my can of tobacco, chew and drink a soda, it's not happening. I cannot walk into his office. I can't even step a foot in there because of his sensitive technology. Now, if he wanted to come into our fly hole and hang out and do the same thing with tobacco and soda, he could any time of the day because we don't have any sensitive technology. All we had was a TV.
That makes sense. I can understand how it's not necessarily a two-way street. But PJ, do you think then that these policy changes or guideline changes were issued but not really expected to be enforced or encouraged? Is it just kind of playing to the public, but nothing has really changed within the Navy in terms of this?
Exactly. And to the people I've talked to who are still active duty, just like Omar said, have no clue.
Wow, that seems.
And even some of the people, even some of the people that I served on the Nimitz during this time and event had no clue about the Nimitz Encounters and all this that has even been out on television, meaning the news broadcast with the gimbal videos and Go Fast and all that. They still don't know about it. And they're not involved with this subculture. And they're active duty.
They're still active duty?
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm surprised.
It seems like the witness.
It seems like this would be a hard topic to miss, especially in the last couple of years, where the UFO topic, in some ways, yes, it's still a subculture, but in many ways, it has obviously sort of hit the mainstream media and become one of those topics that seems to be covered quite actively and often.
It is, and I agree, and it's been more covered since my incident up until, 2-3 years since the New York Times article. But we're looking for it, and I don't think, most people, you see the term UFO or UAP, they're just like, what am I going to read here? The first thing they think about is probably grays or green men. You know what I mean? It's connected to that in one form or the other.
Well, what?
For us being experiencers, we have the confirmation. Like I have the confirmation in one form or the other that, I'm not worried about who's behind that cockpit. I just saw a technology that could outdo anything on this planet. And like we were debating earlier, we don't know whose it is.
PJ, Omar brings up again another interesting point, and I have to figure out how to ask this politely. But we have gone from UFO to UAP. Do you think there's an intentional significance in that change, or do you think that we're just the Navy is just calling them what they are? Because one could argue that it simply is an unidentified aerial phenomena.
I mean, there's a stigma attached with the word UFO. I mean, there's been a stigma attached to the word UFO for, since what, the 40s?
At least 1947 or so.
Yeah.
Is that Roswell one? Roswell. See, I just read that.
If you're honestly trying to change the culture around it, the only way you're going to start is by changing what you call it. And I have a feeling that has a lot to do with why they changed to UAP.
So
controlling the narrative.
Are they trying to change it then because it is alien technology, and they're trying to move away from the stigma that we seem to have, or the idea that we have that, so many times you hear the report that there's a flame coming out the back like there's a rocket engine. But, in today's day and age, we kind of know that the idea of a UFO with a rocket engine would be horribly inefficient and not work at all. Is this a way to segue into a different type of UFO, or are they separating it because it isn't a UFO as we think of it at all, and it is in fact something that's more terrestrial?
Good point. Wow. I'm
not really sure.
Yeah.
Well, I wish somebody was sure.
I would agree to disagree. I mean,
well, it's been an interesting discussion point. The idea of switching from UFO to UAP, because in one respect, I think that if we were to keep the UFO term, it provides a sort of a historical comfort if there's any kind of disclosure coming. And I mean, I've heard people argue that disclosure has already happened. And to an extent, in terms of UAPs, I guess I agree with that. There is something out there flying in the sky. But in terms of what we know as a UFO, I don't know, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Is there any disclosure in terms of what we would consider the classic UFO?
For others, maybe with his reports and they're trying to disseminate this information. But for me, I think I mentioned earlier, I have the confirmation of UFO/UAP, regardless if it was extraterrestrial or terrestrial.
PJ, your thoughts?
If that answers your question.
Not sure.
And I ask because, and Omar, I understand your position, but there is a big difference between a UFO from another planet and a UFO or a UAP from another country. I mean, you can believe in them, but are you believing in an alien civilization, or are you simply believing in the idea that maybe there's something up there that we don't understand, and we also don't know where it comes from, whether it be alien technology or our own or terrestrial?
That's a great question. I'll put it this way. If we are the only ones in this vast space, universe, galaxy, that is going to be a depressing thing to know. I do believe there is other civilizations. There has to be. And if this was one of them, I have my confirmation about it. Because it was at a distance. I didn't get to see it up close. From what I hear, you don't want to get too close to these things. But definitely, has to be other civilizations. And there's been reports, our incident isn't the only one, that these things have been visiting us for millennia. And, you know, that if it if it was, then that's definitely I'm definitely have my confirmation. It has to be, because one, if it is theirs and it is ours, did we learn it from them? Or did we just break our physics on our own? Who knows? And that's the great debate that we all have between us three here. And PJ brings up valid points too.
Well, PJ, what do you think? We've focused on the technology and the actual events so much. If you don't mind sharing it, what are your opinions on the idea that whether they're visiting us or not, are alien life forms out there somewhere?
Just along the lines of what Omar just said, and it's a Carl Sagan quote, if we're the only ones in this universe, it's an awful waste of space.
It is.
It is.
And also, like Omar said, it is a little bit frightening and maybe a little bit lonely.
Exactly.
So
I didn't feel too threatened. In fact, I wasn't too scared. But if it was going to make a move, I probably wouldn't even felt it, because that thing was just too fast. Who knows what it has on it? I don't know about some laser beams or whatever, but you're not going to see it coming.
Well, that's
it's good. Yeah,
that's an interesting point, because with this event, certainly, if it wanted to take out a plane, a person, an aircraft carrier, by all accounts in the radar data, there would have been enough of them to wreak some havoc, and yet it doesn't seem as though that occurred at all.
That's right. I mean, they didn't do anything until we intercepted them. I mean, they were just, from the reports, they were just traversing down from Catalina Island, meeting up, I think, what is it, Guadalupe, you said, PJ? Down in Mexico. Something like that, yeah, down in Mexico.
Well, this was and is an interesting event that's certainly worthy of a lot of debate. And I want to thank both of you for coming tonight, but we're really almost out of time. And I want to give you guys just a couple of seconds. Omar, you got anything UFO related coming up? You doing anything with this, or are you just kind of telling your story and letting people know what happened to you?
Nothing coming up. I mean, I was grateful to be asked to come on your show, and I do them from time to time. But maybe in the near future you'll see or hear more of me. That's a definitely.
Well, I hope so, because your story is definitely interesting and worth hearing, and I think offers an interesting and valuable perspective on what was going on the Nimitz during this time frame. PJ, can people expect anything out of you in the near future?
Yeah, there's 2 TV shows coming down the line. I can't say which ones or when they're going to air. The whole group of us from UAP expeditions, basically all the Nimitz witnesses, with the exception of poor Omar over there, are going to be at Contact in the Desert this year.
Oh, really?
I just learned about that. I had no clue. Maybe I need to get me one of those Twitter accounts to get updated with all this stuff.
Oh, and then obviously Kevin Day's got the UAP expeditions group going, and that expedition is going to be taken off to the same area, basically, to try and figure out what these objects are later this year.
Oh, that's wonderful. I want to say to both of you, because I know that this is late for you guys and this was a little bit short notice, I want to say thank you to both of you for coming on tonight. I want to say thank you for your service in the military, and I just want to extend an invitation to, should you ever want to come back, you go ahead and come back. Just let me know. I'd love to have you again.
Hey, it was a privilege. Thank you. I appreciate it. And you got my number. Call me anytime, man.
I just might take you up on that. With that, I've got to start getting the studio cleaned up before Dave kind of notices what's going on, because it's time to get out of here. So I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to ask you guys to hold on for a couple of minutes. I'm going to wrap this up.
Sounds good.
We've got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. A special thank you to everyone listening in at home, in your cars, at work, in our chat rooms, and wherever you may be. Remember, this show is copywritten by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night.